Are we still believing anything that Maddox gives us in terms of numbers in the year of our Lord 2025? Because I think that ship has sailed.
I don't even believe they make movies, Maddox films. I don't believe anything. I will still say I preferred watching Param Sundari to War 2.
Wow.
You did climb down from your coconut tree just to podcast, or are
Yes,
you podcasting from the
yes,
coconut tree?
yes. It's better reception up here in my coconut tree. Like, that's where I live.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Amrita. Hey Amrita.
Hi, Asim.
Khandaan Podcast, as you know, a place where we talk about serious cinema, like Param Sundari, the
So
movie,
serious. My
the
God.
movie we're going to critically analyze and talk about for a while here on this channel. So come join us.
It's like continuing our tradition of spending more time thinking about a movie than anybody involved in the movie actually spent thinking about it.
Yeah. Either it's Param Sundari or we're talking about the Baghi 4 trailer. So it's up to you. You know, this is the choices we have in front of
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Amrita, Param Sundari, both you and me saw this. Sujoy decided to skip it. He made good
Yes.
choices in life.
Yes.
What is the plot of Param Sundari?
Okay, the plot is actually I don't even know what to say. There is an idiot son of a rich father who goes to Kerala to find his soulmate because he's been sold a bunch of snake oil by a modern day snake oil salesman. And then once he gets there, like pretty much nothing happens. And then at the end, they get together.
He's an investor. He's an investor, right? Like he's
He's
a
a venture capitalist.
capitalist. Yes, yes. So
Except he
the
doesn't know the word venture capitalist, or else like the whoever wrote this movie doesn't think that people would understand the word venture capitalist. So they're just like, I'm an investor. I'm an
yeah.
investor, which makes no sense.
Yeah. So this movie came out. Apparently, it's doing quite well. Like I got a PR email from this is like the biggest Indian grocer overseas. I don't know what that means. I don't know what numbers mean.
Also, it's a statistic that's or like data that's been put out by Maddox Films. Are we still believing anything that Maddox gives us in terms of numbers in the year of our Lord 2025? Because I think that ship has sailed.
I don't even believe they make movies, Maddox films. I don't believe anything, but I think a lot of been like there's a lot of chatter already. You went first, and then you decided to send me some letterbox reviews of Param Sundari, which I'm going to read two of. This is from the account Vipul M on Letterboxd. He says, people who complained about the poor Malayali representation should also know that there is literally bad representation for both North cinema and humanity in general.
Which is a very fair take, to be honest.
The second one is Sidharth Malhotra and Janhvi Kapoor. It's never too late to choose a different profession, which I thought was an excellent one.
Yes, it's an excellent note. Like, very beautiful people, very good with like wearing clothes. Find
I
another job that lets you be pretty and wear clothes, bro.
I think the start and the end of this review basically should be they are very pretty.
Very pretty.
Though both of them are very pretty, and I think that's a big chunk of what the movie is about and what the review should essentially talk about. These two people are very pretty.
And it's actually a plot. It's a plot. I think it's saying too much to call it a plot point because it really does nothing for the plot. But it is mentioned in the movie that everybody around them has eyes and they notice that these are two very attractive people, and as such everybody's in love with them. Like all the men are in love with Janvi, and all the women, well, especially this one girl called Jinsei who is like all over Sidharth Malhotra, and I'm like, I get it. Like I get it, you know. um I don't know, but
But as the representative of the South, as it is called in this
Yes.
movie,
Yes.
how offended are you by the
Well,
representation that
speaking
this movie
as a
gives?
Madrasi, I'm,
You did climb down from your coconut tree just to podcast, or are
yes,
you podcasting from the
yes,
coconut tree?
yes, it's better reception up here in my coconut tree. Like that's where I live. Yeah, so I'm a Malayali, and when before this movie came out, a lot of Malayali influencers on Instagram were up in arms, and they were talking about how terrible this movie is and why is it saying all these things. And I actually kind of stood up for this movie. I was like, like we haven't seen this movie. Maybe it's going to be a surprise. Maybe it won't be as bad as we are all thinking. Like maybe it'll have some redeeming qualities. And this teaches me never to give Bollywood the benefit of the doubt, because who's the one with egg on her face? That would be me, you know. Um, there are so there's a scene where like Janhvi climbs the tree because she's upset. She's like literally climbing a coconut tree. She's throwing machetes at people like those vakatis, those big curved knives.
Hmm.
Are you insane? And also anyway, the climactic like love confession, for that Siddharth like climbs a coconut tree again. Like he's like, I can't talk to you unless I climb a coconut tree. um I realized, so the name that she has, she introduces herself as Tekapati Sundari Damodaran Pillai is what her name is.
Hmm.
And it wasn't actually until I was watching the movie and there is a nameplate on her house with like Tekapati written on it. And I realized Tekapati is actually Tekkepadu or something, which is the name of her house. And that's
Oh.
where she gets it. And once that clicked in my head, I realized what had happened was, so the other thing is a good 15 to 20% of this movie is in Malayalam, which
Hmm.
is a bold choice.
Hmm.
So there's all sorts of people, not just Janvi, but also the little girl that plays her sister, the guy that plays her fiance, and none of these people are Malayali, by the way. Like all of them have never spoken Malayalam before in their lives. And I realized what had happened was somebody wrote that Malayalam down. Like they went to Chat GPT or something and said, like, hey, how do you say this in Malayalam? And then they just gave the phonetic lines to these actors and said, go with God, basically. And while that works with some languages, Malayalam is probably the worst language to try that with because it's kind of like French. We
Hmm.
concatenate a lot. It's a very tonal language like Chinese. So if you stress the wrong syllable, or if you uh, if you spell out like, or you sound out each syllable, sometimes it means something entirely different, or it sounds like an alien who's like talking in it,
Hmm.
right? So and for some reason, like there was nobody on this set who spoke Malayalam, from the sounds of it. So nobody bothered to give any of these people any kind of coaching,
Hmm.
somebody on Twitter said that there's a scene where Sidharth Malhotra, who's playing this very stereotypical Punjabi from Delhi, um, and Sid starts singing this Malayalam song that Janvi's character apparently really likes. And Sid has a better pronunciation of Malayalam than Janvi.
Oh my God.
It's just so bad, Asim. It is so bad. It's offensively bad. Like they worked at being this bad. It's crazy to me.
But like as a Pakistani, I have no,
Yes.
I have no connection with any of this, whatever is going on in this movie. Let me just say, none of y'all look good. Like not the like the Sardarjis don't look good, the Punjabis don't look good. Like the actually everybody that's not represented in this movie is actually relieved. Like Maddock didn't give us the treatment. Like Bengalis are like, oh my god, I'm so happy. Like. Um, yeah, it's really offensively bad, and I also just like there's also a lot of these little things. It's like I like again I don't know, but is it the case when you go to Kerala and you just speak Hindi to everybody that eventually they will just talk Hindi to you back?
It's that was also one of the funniest things that has happened since this movie came out is all over Instagram there are Malayalis just butchering Hindi
Yeah.
in their reels. They're just like trying to talk in Hindi. And my God, like, yeah, that's a hate crime. Like, I don't know if Hindi deserved this kind of treatment.
Also, the fact that if anybody from North India comes to your village to stay, everybody in the village will talk to each other in Hindi, even if that person is not around. Like
And also, apparently, we are like super conservative and we hate it when people go jogging in like
yeah,
shorts. We are
yeah,
like, no, 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 you must wear a munda. Like,
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
only way that you can
yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Although I did think there was sometimes like they were just kind of ragging him a few moments like because that is a very unique look to be wearing wherever you are. Like I don't care wherever you are running, that is a very unique look he's kind of like taking on. But chalo,
It's
you
sort of
know,
like a Berlin EDM club sort of meets, an exercise
yeah,
vibe, like Jane Fonda from the 1980s went to a Berlin club in the early 2000s,
yeah.
then
It's
that
very
would be the
let's get
vibe.
physical.
Yeah.
Let's get physical. That's what it is. Yeah. But yeah, I thought this made nobody look good, to be honest. Like
Hmm.
and like so this is directed by Tushar Jalota,
Hmm.
a fan
Anup
favorite.
Jalota's son.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going through his IMDb because it didn't feel like this movie was written by any real
Human
writer.
being.
Yeah, exactly. But then I really thought this was written by AI, and it might be because it makes this whole point about we as a generation, we as people rely too much on data and analytics to make our decisions. That happens in the first 3 minutes of the movie, and then they just completely forget about it. Like there's no point where that comes into play in any shape or form in this movie.
No.
Maybe so. I was thinking maybe this is used then in the writing of the movie, but it's written by three men, which is kind of the equivalent of how AI is written. Also, it's also written by three men, I guess. But yeah, Tushar Jalota as a director, I feel I watched his Dasvi, which is the only feature length he's directed.
Hmm.
I'm assuming you've not seen that one, right?
No.
Yeah.
I remember when it came out. That's the Abhishek Bachchan movie, right?
Yeah, and I think it did reasonably well.
Hmm.
And I think it has that same problem that Param Sundari has, that it has some ideas. It's not a
Hmm.
new idea, it's not a fresh idea. There is an idea, but then everything around that idea from any execution point, writing, dialogue, language, setting, everything is just amateurish. There's no understanding of how to kind of present this story, and I think
Hmm.
that's one of the problems that Param Sundari has. I'll give you an example because we were talking about the data never coming
Hmm.
back. I was like, if he's a data guy, why didn't he use this data to help the village? Like he wants the village to like him, right? So then use the data. You're a data guy, that's your whole thing, right? Then use it in some way or the other, right? But instead, what we have, and this is a writing thing, you were talking about that song that he learns to sing
Hmm.
for Janhvi, right? So
Hmm.
there's a moment in a boat race in the climax where he's like, he's sitting in the front because he's never boated in his life, but they decide to put him in the
Yeah,
front and lead the charge. He's doing that. And then he decides to sing a random Shah Rukh Khan song, which everybody then sings along instead of singing the song that he'd actually learned.
correct.
And I was like, this is such simple writing. Like you loop it back. She's sitting on the bridge. At that moment, he becomes, the leader of the village by singing their song, learning where he is. But no,
Especially because there was a scene where like they connect like for the first time, where
yeah,
he does something nice for her, and she says to him, my father used to say that anything and everything can be fixed by a Mohanlal song and a cup of
yes.
tea. And this is the song that is
Hmm.
by Mohanlal. So then why wouldn't you sing that song, you idiot?
It makes absolutely no sense. And then
No.
they build up these characters, like like the nurse you're talking about. We knew the character, the person that Janvi is like, jinko
Engaged to.
pagaled hai with, So, but there's no resolution to any of these characters. We just completely forget about them when the whole point of the movie has been to care about these villagers. That's what we care about. That's We're hoping that they care about Siddharth's character, but then they just decide to smooch in front of them, and haha, and that's the
And
ending of the movie.
also, like, Janvi shows up in those round boats.
Mm.
Like, we don't use those boats in Kerala. Those boats are from Tamil Nadu. Like,
Ah.
why? Why does she show up in those boats? Like, it makes no sense.
It's the first time we see that boat. Like everybody, like people are boating, like people have boats, but that boat doesn't exist until that point. So where did she get that boat? Did she make it from a? I don't know. I don't know. Like these kind of things. This is where the writing is so amateurish, where it doesn't even make sense. Like anybody with an idea of how to write a screenplay could be able to figure out that this is how a narrative should work. But Maddox films can't do that. I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no, yeah, I don't know either. I don't know why this is.
Let's talk about Janvi a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, again, very pretty. Very
Yes.
pretty.
Yes.
um, but beside, I, can I say I liked her in this movie? Can I say this?
I did. She was very likable. See, if you take her out of
Mm,
the fact that she is basically playing a completely psychotic character,
yeah.
and that she's been done dirty by the entire team,
Yeah.
right? But also, she's been in like about what, 11, 12 projects at this point, and I can't believe that she thought that she could just wing this just because her mother was like South Indian. I don't even know like what that was. Like, who the hell decides to act in Malayalam of all languages and it's just like, you know what, I'll just read it off the page. Like, you have to be loco to do that. And it never occurred to her to just get like a dialect coach, or like even just like Bombay is literally full of Malayalam technicians. Like, the
Mm,
entire town runs on Malayalam technicians. Um, and she didn't like think about like just putting a call in to somebody on, say, her father's sets or her brother's sets or her sister's sets or her cousin's sets, like, or her uncle's sets. Like, literally her entire family is working in the business. Like, they have to know at least one Malayali somewhere. And it never occurred to her to just put in a phone call and be like, hey, can you just run these lines with me and tell me how the
mm.
pronunciation works? Like, super basic. But anyway, she didn't do any of that stuff. But she is very pretty and she's very cute. That scene where Siddharth has learned her favorite song and
Yeah.
he's singing
Yeah.
with her, and she's so excited before he, screws everything up. And she's just sort of like in glee, and she's just like, oh my God, you know this song too. I know this song. I love this song. And then she's sort of like doing like a call and return. It's so sweet.
I thought she was good in the songs too. I really liked her, and I
Yeah.
think this is what I've been waiting for Janvi to be able to do. But I was hoping that it would be in a better movie, like just to have a fun rom com for her, which we
Yeah.
haven't really seen. She's been like a lot of times she's been in some depressing situation. Either she's stuck in a fridge or she's married to Varun Dhawan, and these kind of things which are very depressing. But this, I thought I really wanted her to be in a fun rom com, and I just hope that this movie would have been better, which it's not. But I think she was really good. Like the Danger song that they ripped off from a Pakistani song,
Hmm.
Lal Danger, whatever it's called. I thought she was great. And there's moments where and I know this is an offensive thought that a lot of people will not be happy with, but she reminded me of Sridevi a lot of times. In those moments where she's showing joy, there's moments where she's doing like physical comedy, like with her in her dancing, in her movements, with her eyes. I just thought of Sridevi a few times, and when I was formulating that thought, I was like, people are going to get offended by that. And isn't that such a weird dynamic we've created, where we have taken away Janvi's ability to make us think of her mom? Isn't that a weird thing?
It is a weird thing. And I think if Sridevi were alive right now, then probably Janvi would have like an easier time of it with the comparisons. Um, and I think that is also the reason why we haven't seen Janvi in a lot of these movies, the kind that you're talking about,
Hmm.
because she has very consciously stayed away from those.
Yeah.
And partly, I feel the reason is because she doesn't want to set up those comparisons because people will be brutal.
Hmm.
And, at the end of the day, she's still a human being. And I can only imagine what it must go through. Um, yeah, like but it's also the thing is that, Janvi doesn't have that sort of generational talent that Sridevi had. You know what I mean? Like Sridevi could show up on screen and she would just sort of like do very subtle things and immediately like you couldn't look away from her. um, Janvi doesn't have that ability, even though she's very pretty and she is very cute. And there's one point in this film where she says "Ayo" exactly how Sridevi used to say, and I literally it was just like very like discombobulating for me. But yeah, the whole time that she was in Pardesia and she had those chiffon saris, um but see, that's sort of like the difference, right? Like when Sridevi was wearing those chiffon saris and being all sexy and beautiful, she was dressed from here to there, like it was like completely covered. There's no, like, she's not showing you any part of her body really. If you go back and you watch, we just watched Mr. India on our show, and if you remember what Kate Nahi Katte looks like, she's not really like exposing as they used to call it back in the day,
Yeah.
but there's Janvi, and Janvi is like wearing it very much as a costume. The chiffon saris that she's wearing are very much like a costume rather than just like something that her character would usually wear, which is what you always got from Sridevi. And
Hmm.
it's those sort of really subtle things that primes the audience to be like, well, but this kind of feels fake and inauthentic, and it's not the real deal because we've seen the real deal.
But I just find it interesting because we have literally Aryan Khan, debuting, not even like as an actor, but like just as a director. And even if you go back all the way to Abhishek Bachchan when he was doing, Yuva or Refugee, they were like, oh my God, he's so much like Amitabh, the way he talks, the way he's lanky and things like that. But I feel a lot of times with women, we take that away.
Yeah,
We did it with Sohana,
yeah,
and we do it with Janvi too. And I
yeah.
think Janvi has, like, she clearly has mannerisms while she was dancing that really reminds, like the word she ayo, that the way she says it, the joy she's showing. A lot of times she reminds me of that, and I think it's just a weird conversation that we, as an audience, are kind of taking away her own. Her heritage in a way, like her family, like genetics in a way. I just think it's a kind of a weird thing. But yeah, what do you think of Siddharth Malhotra?
Very hot.
Like, he's been in movies for a while, right? And he's married also to Kiara Advani, right?
Yes.
And I think that's like the perfect match, like these two together. Like, very pretty. I don't know what they're good at. Like, and I like Siddharth Malhotra. Like, I remember interviewing him for Student of the Year, and I
Uh-huh.
thought he would be the biggest star. Like, he looked like James Dean. Like, he looked so handsome. The voice, the how tall he is. Like, he's so good looking. I thought he would have like an amazing career. Like, Varun looked Tingu next to him at that time. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
like I don't get it, right? Also, I don't think Student of the Year really put a shine on what Varun's talents were. But yeah, he's done a lot of movies. A few I've liked. I liked him in Brothers. I liked him in Kapoor and Sons. I've liked him in a few things. This, I just never understood a movie. The movie never gave us an understanding why Janvi fell in love with him, this guy is good at, except being hot. Like, there is no reason why people like him in this movie. It never gives us that reason, unfortunately.
I mean, he's not a likable character as such.
No.
He really is a dumb blonde character, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so the, I think we should tell the audience. So the thing that he invests in, his name is Param, and the thing that he invests in is an app that analyzes your energy and your social media presence, as well as your astrology and like everything, to come up with the one that you can be with.
It's like AI Ayurveda, like things like, like things that apparently sound good and works on vibes, and people just dedicate their lives to.
But the thing is, like, so there were a couple of things in this movie that did strike true. And one of the things is, like, I can 100% see somebody like a Param who
Hmm.
would invest in something like this. Like, that was very believable to me because I'm from Delhi, and I know a number of Params. So
I,
that was very.
I'm next week. I'm pitching an idea of a homeopathic dating app. That's what I'm pitching next week.
You should call it, like, the with like German technology, because like homeopathy is like German, so you should be like with German technology.
Yeah.
And also the fact that everybody in the village was ready to like do murder for Janvi. That was also very true to me because that was my grandma. My grandma literally had like her entire mohalla was like ready to like do like knife fights for her.
In a
So
chokehold.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
thought that part was understandable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought it was unfortunate that they didn't build on that. Like
Yeah.
they were very cool with everything very quickly. Like, they mentioned it during the wedding and things like that, but it never really came to any fruition. Like, I felt that they could have built that up to more comedic purposes. It almost feels like, like that idea of the blind girl that doesn't know that she's hot. You know, like, that's what Janvi felt like. I felt it would be better if she leaned into her hotness and could
Yeah.
use that in certain way. That would be funny. But again, yeah,
Yeah. That's terrible.
yeah, um, yeah. You want to talk about the nurse quickly? You said.
I mean, yeah, justice for Jinsey, like Jinsey is a woman of agency who knows what she wants, but is also presented as something like she's about like that far from a rapist because she's just like from the very first time that you meet her, she's just assaulting Sid all over the place.
But I thought in a better movie, the idea was maybe the location was off and she was his soulmate because, he's from Delhi
Yeah, no,
and she's what she
no,
is. And I think that
yeah,
matches the vibe, right? But again, that's not even an idea that popped
nope.
up anywhere. Yeah.
I thought like maybe the guy that like sold Param on the idea of the app might have been Venu, and therefore like, and that's how he knew about Sundari, even though she doesn't have any social media presence. Like he knew that Param would be really interested in Sundari, and therefore he would put all his money on the app.
Yeah.
And he was basically a swin, and that would have been like textured and like, ooh, like what's happening here, etc. And instead everything was just like so stupid.
Yeah, also justice for Vinu, to be honest. Like, I thought he was like a wonderful, like, I don't know the actor, but I thought he
I
was
don't
really,
know.
I liked him. Like, I liked his
Hmm.
presence. I liked that Janvi got really happy when he showed up. Like, there was like a genuine, I felt there was more chemistry between Janvi and the actor playing Vinu than, honestly, And, but again, that's also written so badly that he knows that Param is chasing
Sundari.
Janvi's character
Hmm.
Sundari, and he calls him a brother, which I thought was such a horrible thing to do. Like the little things that are so horrible, right? Like why you're actively seducing the person that the person is marrying, but still calling him a brother. And I again, I thought there was just such a um, when we say that Siddharth is not a nice character, that's one of those examples. Like, you don't do that. Like, that's one of those things you don't do, you know? But yeah, like, again, he's like basically playing Akshay Kumar's character in Dil To Pagal Hai, but at least he's not fat shaming Janhvi through the movie, right?
Yeah.
Which Akshay Kumar does in Dil To Pagal Hai. So I thought, at least when you have a nice person playing a nice character, he should have some good happen to him, But the only good thing that's happening is to Siddharth, who's playing a horrible character. So I don't know what kind of morals this movie even has.
It
Yeah,
doesn't have any. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any thoughts. It doesn't have any morals. It doesn't even have a plot. It's just
yeah,
like, these people
vibes.
show up and yeah, that's it.
It's a streaming movie. Like, it's a streaming movie that'll arrive on Prime and people will watch it. Then I don't understand why this needed a theatrical release. To be
Yeah.
honest, I think we are starved for rom coms. So I think that's maybe a place that we're trying to fill in.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw Sayara and say, let's release this. Love is in the air. But after all of this, I will still say I preferred watching Param Sundari to War 2.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
both movies, I came in with very low expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I got something out. Like, I watched Pretty People. There were two good songs in it. Um, and I wasn't like actively mad at what the movie was trying to do. Um, I because I didn't have a high expectation. I think the movie was okay. It wasn't like, I was watching a movie called The Kingdom,
Oh
um,
yeah. Uh-huh.
with Vijay Deverakonda, and I couldn't watch more than 20 minutes of it. It's like all of this just like slashing, Bagi 4, Kill, all of these movies that are like all the same now, right? uh,
Mm-hmm.
like I was like, yeah, just like two stupid, beautiful people in love, and I'll take it. I'll take this. So I'll still say I enjoyed Param Sundari more than I enjoyed War 2, to be honest.
And there you have it, folks. That's our hot take on Param Sundari.
Great. Where can people find you online, Amrita?
Um, you can find me on Twitter still, or X as we're calling it now, at Amrita IQ. But mostly you can find me on our Patreon at Khandaan Podcast. We do behind the scenes, we do like catch ups, we answer questions, we take special requests. It's a fun place for all our friends to gather.
It's the best way to support us. I think you dropped a video just now, and I'll be dropping one either this week or next week about my Letterboxd reviews, which I do every month. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, that's it for this episode, and we'll catch you soon.